What's going on, Aquarius? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the theme of this week's monthly spread is going to be business, Aquarius, and all the ways that we can expand your abundance. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just good energy all around here, Aquarius. Now, with this spread, Aquarius, I'm going to be going into a higher self set stop. We're just going with the flow here. And just so you're all aware, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings. We're just working with the energy. So apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? Look at you. All right. More? Absolutely. And then lastly, these decks that I'm using, like a boss might I add. This one is speaking of boss decks, this one here is an OG deck. It's Aleister Crowley's Stealth deck. And then the Oracle deck that I'll be using is the Anatomy of a Witch deck. And I'll include links for these decks and other decks that I like including down in the description box below. So definitely, definitely check that out if you're interested there, Aquarius. But look at you. And you know what? This is actually really sick here, this combination. Before we really get into it, you know, the Knight of Wands, that's represented by Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is the Wheel of Fortune here. So I feel like that Aquarius, we're at this place right now, where I feel like we're trying to figure out our destiny, or figure out how our energies operate, I feel like throughout a cycle, you know, because I was doing something. I remember reading something in one of my other decks not too long ago about the Wheel of Fortune, and it struck me in a way that I hadn't thought about it like that. But it was talking about, you know, thinking about the Wheel of Fortune in cycles. You know, when we're at the top of our game. You know, when we're not. You know, when we're doing in the middle of learning some wisdom. You know, when things are transitioning. And I feel like that maybe some of us may be trying to figure out how to navigate our energies and really try to get like the most out of this journey here, you know, and whatever it is that you're doing, you know, this to me, when we start talking about Wheel of Fortune, I feel like that this is like this is beyond, I feel like a career or like a job or things like that. This is like your calling, you know, in which you know, like let me explain, you know, this is like what you feel like your destiny is, like that thing that you know in your heart of hearts, that no matter what is going down, you're gonna do it, you know, no matter what phase of the cycle in this thing that you're in, you know, that's going to be, I feel like that's going to be your calling here. And I feel like that when you're going to think about this, when we're thinking about destiny, you know, what we feel like that what we're meant to do in Aquarius, you know, this is something where we want to be very mindful with our energy, you know, because the Knight of Wands, where he is full of explosive energy, you know, it's full, you know, is ready to achieve, you know, whatever, you know, is excited about Wheel of Fortune, you know, loves the idea of it. If we go at things mindlessly, you know, if we're just sort of like just going, you know, just going, you know what I mean, and without a purpose, you know, or without an understanding of ourselves, then that's going to lead to me, the Knight of Wands, if we're just expending our energy, that's the quickest way to a hanged man without any sort of like direction. And when we do too, even if we have a direction, if we do it towards things that don't resonate with us, that's going to get us in a hanged man situation too. And a hanged man is just where we have to, where we realize that, you know, we might need to go at a thing from a different perspective here. And so Aquarius, you know, when you're thinking about your destiny, and this is going to be something that you're not going to get this figured out overnight, but it's about taking, for me, you know, I feel like it's about finding that, or let me put it this way. I find that when we take our energy, instead of pouring it into external things, you know what I mean? When we focus on us and figuring out what our needs are, and that's not to say that you're neglecting other people, but in order for us to, because Aquarius, your sign is you're very much about the betterment of society. You know, your energy is geared towards humanitarian acts and networking, and it's you really do have so much love and emotion that I feel like that you want to give and that you want to raise that vibration. But again, in order to do that, we have to start here. We have to raise our own vibration first. You know what I mean? We can't, that's just like me trying to heal someone whose arm is bleeding when my arm is dangling from a limb here, you know? And I know that might be a bit extreme, but it's because I feel like that maybe sometimes when I say that we have to focus on us, that may sound selfish. But how is that selfish? You know, being, you know, focusing on what we want, because you're doing this stuff for yourself in order to better others, because that's how you lead by example. One, that's how we inspire people, Aquarius. When we start focusing here and people start seeing what can happen when we do put in that work, you inspire, and then you're networking, then they're coming to you, and then they're seeking your services, and then you've added to your soul tribe, and then they're going to go out and tell their friends, and then who's going to bring them over to you, and then look at that, you're growing, and then now we're growing all together, and now Wheel of Fortune is happening. Destiny is, you're making it. It's happening before your eyes here. But it's like I feel like we spend so much energy, you know, not looking without, you know, or looking outward, when we need to look within more and really kind of ask ourselves, do these check-ins. Is this resonating with me? Am I where I want to be right now? Because I do feel like you would think that's like a duh, but take a look around, you know, next time, you know, kind of evaluate and I say that, do it from a compassionate place. We're not here to judge people, but it's what, judgment-free zone. But it's more so that, and Aquarius, I've done it too, where we pour our energy into something thinking that is going to provide us security, and that's going to eventually, you know, once I get that, it's going to get me to this fulfillment, and, you know, it all is going to, that American dream, and then that's not even necessarily that, you know, it doesn't have to be that, but, you know, whatever the standard, you know, ways of achieving destiny is, I feel like that doesn't work with everybody. It's just like, you know, when it comes to this journey, one glove doesn't fit all. You know, we all have to go about it a different way, where we all are going towards the same thing, but how we get about it, we can all come about it 100, thousands, billions of different directions. It's just like when you look at a cloud, you know, I mean, 5 people are going to see 5 different things in the cloud here, but it's still, you get what I'm saying. And so, or you know, just when we're thinking about this, Aquarius, this is something that, and when we're really, oh, and that's perfect. You know, when we're thinking about this, Aquarius, it really is, it's going to be what your heart's desire. And this is, because I'm just going to talk about this next card, because this is Venus in Aquarius. And I like that. This is going to be astrology more so according to Justin. But I feel like that when we focus on what our heart's desire is, you know, and what is our calling, because maybe you want to Maybe your goal is you want to provide like schooling for children. Okay. So it's like, how do we do that? It's like, okay, so we're gonna need, I'm gonna need to study up on how to build a school system, and then I'll need to do blah blah blah, and so I may have to network with such and such. And you see, it's all focusing here as opposed to like, I hope that's making sense, but let's talk about this Five of Swords, because I feel like that when we think about the Wheel of Fortune, that sometimes when we think about destiny, even if it's, I feel like that when we've been tackling this stuff, maybe we've been feeling kind of defeated, maybe it doesn't feel like maybe it feels like nothing fits, maybe it's like something where it's like you know that you're on the right track, but it's just like you still can't quite seem to get ahead. I would say with that, Aquarius, that may be something where it may not be the fact that what you're doing is wrong, or, and I shouldn't say wrong, but what you're doing may not resonate with you. It may be how you're doing it. Maybe it's something where if you're like what's a good example? Let's say I've been using a mechanic. Mechanic's been on my head. So let's say if you're a mechanic, and let's say you love working with cars, this is your jam, but let's say we don't like working at like a car shop, let's say, then maybe branch out, see, maybe we can get into like restoring cars, maybe that's where maybe you'll find more of your calling there. Or maybe you want to work with like race cars, maybe you do like work with like NASCAR, being like a pit crew. Or we can even maybe take where you take cars and maybe you're making like art, making transformers. It's one of those things, Aquarius. If something doesn't work, try it a different route, because your energy is good for it. Like you, if anybody can think outside of the box, it's you. I could look at you and like, Aquarius, there's no way that this is going to fit in here. And bet, if I were to come back, you will have found a way to make this work. How? We have no idea. And quite honestly, we're not going to question it, because that's incredible, because that's how you manifest destiny. I'm not sure whose destiny, who wants to fit this in that cup, because I don't. Don't do that, Aquarius. I still want to enjoy my tea. But all right, now we're getting silly. Let's get back onto this thing, because Aquarius too, this can be some heavy stuff, when we're thinking about our purpose, our destiny. And it can be too, if we're not sure where we want to go, it can be frustrating, and it can feel like maybe that we feel like we're behind, or maybe we haven't poured. Or this could be maybe something too. Maybe we've been at a place for a while and we realize, like, let's say we've been at a company for like 20, 30 years, and you're just like, oh crap, I'm not happy where I'm at. Like, this blows. And it's like, what have I been doing with all this time? Don't let that become a thing, because when we get into that state of just like where we start regretting, where it's like, man, I wish I would have done this with all this and blah 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 blah. No, Aquarius, if anything, the fact that you're thinking about it right now, this might be the time for you. There's just what back then, maybe back when in your youth, maybe when you were younger, we wouldn't have, sure, it's not to say that you wouldn't have rose to the occasion, but maybe you wouldn't have made it the most out of it than if you were to start this thing right now. Maybe you needed to get some experience, a certain experience up until this point, in order for this destiny to be realized. Because that's something too, Aquarius. And it's not to say that your destiny is not going to come, but when it comes to your energy, Aquarius, you're ruled by Saturn. That's one of your rulers. And Saturn is the planet of restriction. He can be kind of a hard ass sometimes, but it's all in the attempts. It's one of those things. If we're patient, if we're persevere, if we put our energy into this, Saturn rewards you handsomely. It's just a matter of just following the signs and really paying attention to what makes sense for you, and not to ignore those signals when they pop up, because really Aquarius, there's, if we were to check in with ourselves more, the signs are there if something is not our jam, if we need to adjust something, it can all be right in front of us, but sometimes Yeah, sometimes we get in our heads, maybe we say maybe we get to this place of where we think like our ideas are impractical, or maybe we're not sure like if it's not, if like, I'm not sure, whatever it is, because I don't want to play that Nine of Swords party. You already got 9 swords here, you don't need one more person throwing in an extra doubt in there. But excuse me. I feel like that this is something where don't overthink this, Aquarius. Don't allow yourself to get in your head, and to where this deters you too. I feel like where if we've been really aggressive as far as like if like the negative mentalities have been very aggressive here recently. I'm just thinking about Mars and Gemini here. Mars is a planet of action, Gemini being communication. I say if the narrative has been kind of negative here as of late, Aquarius, let's try with whenever we have a negative thought, match it with one positive thought. That's my favorite thing to do with the Nine of Swords. And then you just like, it's like, okay, I'll never achieve this thing. Or, on guard, I'm a master at this stuff here. And see, now we're having fun. But it'll help you get out of your head too, and it'll help make this destiny a little bit more clear, because when we're operating in this headspace here, it makes things foggy. It makes it so that we can't see this Wheel of Fortune here. But if we get out of our head, it's all right there. It's Wheel of Fortune is always waiting for us. It's just a matter of when we turn that wheel here, Aquarius. More. But I will say, when I was talking about being mindful with the Knight of Wands, I will say though, for some of us too, I do think that when you find this thing, start taking some action, start really going towards that stuff, and be optimistic about it, because there's something that I'm just thinking with Sag energy, it's if you keep that positivity, it's going to, oh, excuse me. Wow, it's going to, speaking of Saturn, you're going to be able to establish your universe here, Aquarius. You're going to get into the see, we followed our dreams, we followed our passion, and Saturn rewards you handsomely. What do you want this to look like? Because now it's like, okay, now you're making space. It's like, how do you want this to grow? Now you're resonating with your energy, and then taking from this experience, especially, when we get into sword stuff here, taking the wisdom from this stuff here, so that way, because Aquarius, here's the thing, if we've been caught up in our heads before, I feel like I feel like Nine of Swords is one of those recurring things. It's just, every now and again, the doubts may pop in, we might get caught up for a second, but just remember, you've gotten through this stuff before and you can do it again. The Eight of Discs is a card to remind us that, yes, life is about constantly like refining stuff, but you have done the work. Imagine how you were dealing with this, prior to, this, to where you are now, and then think about it even in the future, you're going to be where this stuff, if anything, you'll be waiting for more lessons to come here. It's like, man, I haven't gotten any kind of mindfulness in a while here. What's going on, universe? We'll be looking for growth. So more. Let's see what else is cooking up for you, Aquarius, because this is really, I like this. Any kind of stuff where we really get to thinking about like real kind of deep stuff, any kind of like Wheel of Fortune type deals. Yeah, Aquarius, you got a lot of swords energy here. I feel like that the biggest thing for you right now, I feel like with this reading, is just getting out of your head here. The swords have to deal with intellectual matters. And keep in mind too, thoughts become things. If we tell ourselves, whatever it may be, that we can't achieve this thing, that maybe there aren't enough resources, that whatever, that's going to permeate, that's going to become your universe, because that's the beacon that we're putting out. And it's not to say that you want this, but it's just that if you keep staying in this energy, that's what's going to happen. We want to start thinking about what is going to, what is our, what would raise our vibration, and what could I do that's not, again, that's not even just going to raise just mine, but when I'm done doing the work here, is going to grow, the soul tribe as well. What does that look like? But yeah, Aquarius, I feel like that a lot of this stuff here, this may not even be, this might not even be stuff that we're telling ourselves, or may not even have had originated there. This could be something too, what are the people around you saying? Are we around people that are supporting our dreams, Because it's one thing to provide like constructive criticism and like, okay, you present this idea and it's like okay, I like where your head's at, but had you considered maybe trying, from this angle, or maybe would you think this might make it flow smooth, or blah, blah, blah. That's one thing. But if we're working with someone who's just like, oh, Aquarius, that's dumb. There's no way, that's not practical. How are you going, like, instead of like, they're just putting out like a bunch of problems as opposed to providing solutions. Because that's another thing too, when I think about providing constructive criticism, it's like, well, how are you, well, what are you going to do about money? Or have you thought about blah, 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 blah. Even like the tone can be even aggressive, so that's just something to just be mindful of. I feel like we want someone who's just like, no, that's, I like the idea of that, like help me make sense, where would you do if in this instance, that's just something to think about. Okay, any more? All right, Aquarius, let's see what else is going on here. In Aquarius too, something, try not to limit your just what you think you're capable of, because I know that's something that I tell you all the time, but it's just because it's just like, I feel like that it's important for you to remember, that. And this, again, this is not me trying to just like blow smoke up your skirt. You really every Aquarius that I've ever met, I mean, you do, the way that you think, and the way you think, the way you operate, the way you're of the air signs, you give this. I was talking with a Libra about this, funny enough. We were talking about air energy, and Gemini energy is very quick, very witty, consumes, a lot of information. Libra is the balance between Aquarius and Gemini, but for Aquarius to me is just like, it's that wisdom, you're towards the tail end of the zodiac. It's interesting, you're that thing, you're what happens when thoughts become actions, you know what I mean? You set out, you put your mind to the fact that you wanted to be the water bear, wanted to be the air sign, so you made it happen. You put thoughts into actions, and it's just something to be mindful of, that you really are capable of something great when you focus on that dream, when you focus on that, whatever it is you want that world to be, when you found that calling, pour all of your energy into that. This is a card of directed knowledge, and I feel like that this is going to open up things for you in a way too. And Aquarius, I don't remember if it's, is it travel by, I don't remember if it's by land or by water, but regardless. I want to say this one's by land, but the Six of Swords, this can be a card of directed knowledge, a focus, but it can also be a card of maybe if we're not sure, maybe if we're feeling kind of stuck, for ideas, as far as like callings and things like that. Maybe removing yourself from your environment, maybe going on like a retreat or something on that, or like a trip, maybe going on, it could even be maybe going on like a drive, maybe you'll find inspiration while you're driving, maybe pull over, take a notebook with you, maybe you might find something there. Maybe going camping, or maybe going hanging out by the water for a day, or just something where I maybe feel like maybe getting outside of your environment might get some ideas cooking up here, because this is Mercury in Aquarius here. And so Aquarius anymore? All right, I think we're going to get some oracle cards here. But Aquarius, this again, this is going to be something that's going to be just like a long term. This is for the extension of the journey. I feel like really with this. So don't feel weird if we don't have an answer right at this moment. But I feel like that this is, if we haven't been thinking about this, it's just something to think about. You know, are we achieving where we want to be in life? You know, are we getting the most bang for our buck? And is this really resonating with us? Is this going to help us to achieve what we wanted to do here? Because you know, Aquarius, interesting. You got the witch lungs here to start off more. And with the witch lungs, you know, I feel like that this is remembering too. Remembering that you do have, again, that you have people who, oh, I'll say, wait a minute. That you have people, wow, that you have people who want to help you. You know, the witch lungs reminds us that we all breathe the same air, you know, that we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And to Aquarius, you know, and I feel like that connecting, you know, really, you know, and again, with people that you trust. Because I feel like when we're talking about, you know, fortune and things like that, you know, and you're thinking about personal, this can be kind of personal when we're talking about stuff here. So, you know, talk about people that you're comfortable with. But that can even be something, you know, maybe go visit like some family or a friend or someone if you have someone in mind. And maybe too, that can help you get some new seeds planting up here, get some new stuff in the mix here. You know, thinking too, when I'm thinking about cycles, you know, with the Wheel of Fortune, you know, with the new moon, with the new moon phase, you know, when I'm releasing this, we're probably about to be, I think we're in like a waxing crescent phase right now, getting ready to go to the first quarter. But Aquarius, it's never too late too early or too whatever to start something. You know, the cycles work with you. You know, if you want to wait till the next lunar cycle to start up something, dope. The next lunar cycle, actually, that might be a good time for you, Aquarius, because it'll be in Aries, and so that'd be a good time to take some action more. But you stay there. But you know, I feel like that get some ideas of cooking here. Oh, what dreams do you anymore? All right, hold on, Aquarius. Let's switch back over, because now the dreams are getting bigger. You know, what is it that you want in life? You know, what is it that in like Aquarius, really think broad in this. You know, where do you see yourself doing, and how do you go about, what steps would it take to get you there? And then, you know, what is that team gonna look like? Because, you know, whatever it is that you're Aquarius, but I feel like don't limit yourself. You know, don't put yourself in a box, because that's where I feel like if you come from a place of limitations, then we're already off to a weird start. You know, go thinking that like absolutely I'm gonna master this thing, or you know that I'm gonna to accomplish this, whatever it is that you're doing, especially if it's your calling. You're going to make it work, because here's the thing: we get so much accomplished with things that we don't want to do, and I'm talking about, you know, like. And not that that's like a chore, but I'm thinking of like, you know, laundry, or like dishes, or even like going to jobs that we don't even like, you know, like, or pouring our stuff. You know, we do so much of that those laundry ones were a bad example, but you know, we do so much stuff that I feel like that we don't resonate with us, that if we were to take even like a fourth of the energy and put that into things that we like doing, and, you know, really channel them into our dreams and like our personal goals, you know, like what we feel like our calling is, then I feel like that's when the reward really starts coming in. That's when the stuff really starts lining up. You know, when we signal the universe, that's what we want in our world, that's what the universe is going to give back. But it's being in that energy, and being in that and being in that holy, you know what I mean? And it may be a little rocky at first, but with time and with patience and with growth, you're going to feel it's going to be natural, Aquarius, and then you're going to be manifesting like crazy. You know, it'll be just oh, you know, I was not even that one. Just fortune, you know, just goodness. So I think I'm going to leave that there, Aquarius. Hopefully that made sense. You know, that was kind of a deep one there. You know, that was interesting, but I feel like for you, it makes sense, you know, because this really is just like, this to me is kind of like a typical Aquarius, and you know what I mean. But I mean, like, is that like that I feel like that we get so much in our heads that we don't feel that we can accomplish greatness. You know, I feel like you might feel like that might be so far-fetched, but I personally don't think so. I mean, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. You know, I'm just realizing how many Aquarians I actually do know, and they're all great. I mean, they're all great. And so raise that vibration, Aquarius. But if you like that, I'm about to get back into your reading. Give that a thumbs up, both readings. And then share this, Aquarius. You know, because there's really nothing that you can't do. And I know how that sounds, and you know, and it may sound like I made that I'm being, you know, over exaggerating, you know, I'm over exaggerating, but and if it doesn't feel like that you can do it by, and that's the thing too, you know, I feel like Aquarius, you know, maybe that's the thing, you know, maybe it's like I'm telling you that you have to do all of this by yourself. Whereas, yes, there are going to be the self-growth, the personal things, figuring that stuff out. That, of course, is going to be, that's all you. I can't tell you how to grow in that. But I can be there with you when you realize that thing and you're trying to get that dream to manifest. That we could, you know, the Soul Tribe can be there for you, because now we got something. Now you got something that you're passionate about. You know, we're uniting for a common goal to raise that vibration. And now it's like, okay, how can I bring in my skills to the mix? And then you're going to bring in your skills, and then Sag is going to bring in their skills, and then Gemini is going to bring in, you know, it becomes like a whole thing, Aquarius. But it's when you find that thing, I think you would be really impressed by how you could rally up people. Because I feel like there's so many people that want to support you, Aquarius. Oh, what are we doing? I do this I think I've been telling all the signs. I'll start about why we share this thing, and then I get right back into the reading again. So if you while I was in that third reading for you, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that bell button, because I've given you plenty of time to do it. And then social media. Fun fact, I have been working on social media. I found out the other day, I'm on Insight Timer, by the way. And Insight Timer, if you're not aware, is a meditation app. And I've been using it for probably since like 2017, 2018, something like that. And I love it. And I had just included a link right around when I started this channel. The idea popped. I was like, oh, I should maybe put this on my meditation app and just kind of see what happens. And then someone reached out to me a couple days ago and said they subscribed and that they loved what I was doing. So, I am tech savvy, Aquarius. And you see, that might be something too. You see how confident I was at first, you know, for what? Since I started, you know, I was just like, oh my goodness, such a Luddite and all these things. We be mindful what we're telling ourselves, because thoughts become things. But as soon as I'm working on it, it just like I had just made the connection like yesterday, and I was just like, ooh, I can't wait to tell the Soul Tribe. So if you're looking for me, I'm on Insight Timer, and I'm active on Insight Timer. And then lastly, if you have any Cancer in your placement, or maybe you want to work with a Cancer, hit me up. Hit all of us up. And if you're not sure where to find us, come on over to the Chariot and Friends. We discuss lunar shenanigans, and we discuss our dreams, our world, I can keep this up. Cancer just got off a Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune was stalking Cancer for like maybe 2 weeks ago. So we definitely talk about the Wheel of Fortune when it comes up. And all that housekeeping, I'm just trying to get you over there, Aquarius. It's down in the description box below. But let's get your surprise card here. So, bam! Ace of Disc, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh, Aquarius. Ooh, Aquarius. And you got the Serpent. The Serpent. Let's talk about the Serpent first. The Serpent is what happens when we start growing, when we start shedding that skin, that old ways of, like, when we're evolving. You know what I mean? This is getting in touch with those innate abilities that have always been down in us, tapping into like that inner child, like creative, that energy. I'm thinking of like when you were a child, if you told someone where you're like, I'm gonna scale this building, I'm gonna be a building scaler. You're just like, oh, okay, and nobody could tell you nothing. That's the type of energy the Serpent taps into. This is like, and I know my analogies may be a bit insane, but it's like it's tapping into that ability that I keep talking about. That innovation that you have, that humanity, because you come from such a compassionate place, Aquarius, and I'm not even sure if you know that. When I'm thinking about your dreams, it's for you, but it really is for the collective. It's for the soul tribe. I feel like, or at least the way that how the effect that it has doesn't just stop with you. It expands. It becomes Ace of Disc. It becomes abundance. You know what I mean? And it becomes abundance for whatever that looks like for you and for everyone else. That's the thing, because you, Aquarius, this is a good example this is a good opportunity for you to lead by example. When we pour into ourselves, when we follow our destinies, follow what resonates with us, and stick true to that, and don't doubt our instincts, and our course. The universe will shower you. Saturn rewards you with your world and whatever it is that you want. I mean, this is sick, Aquarius. Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Disc, the world, manifest. Whatever. This is why I tell you. This is exactly why I tell you that you can manifest whatever you want, because it literally, it's just, what do you want and how does that look like, And then if you see where you're missing some tools, tap into the, that's where the soul tribe comes in. We're in this together, we're a team. So just something to keep in mind, Aquarius, okay? So I think I'm gonna leave that there. So stay safe out there. And when you get done, Aquarius, you're gonna raise that vibration to Saturn. Absolutely. And I will catch you on the next one later.